Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, of course, Sunday. It means back pages time. We're looking at what the sport pages in the Sunday newspapers are saying to the results in Scottish football yesterday. Of course, the weekend's not quite done yet. Celtic playing yesterday, but Rangers, the other team at the top, are taking on Hibs in what is going to be an interesting clash as we currently speak. 1-1 at half-time. God knows how it will finish. But we're going to look to see what the papers are saying anyway. A lot of talk to do with Celtic, their performance, and one man in particular who was left out of the game yesterday. Right then, let's not waste a lot of time. You know what, this is I think the 10th episode. Hello, happy days, hey, 10th anniversary. Never thought I'd make it here. There's one man who's dominating one of the papers and we're going to jump right into that because there's no point in avoiding it. And we may as well have the conversation while it's here. Look who's on the back page of the Sunday Express this fine Sunday morning. Odds on he's staying, but we will act accordingly if striker leaves, says Lennon. So, I mean, with the way that headline's going, right, you know, you're starting off good. Oh, he's staying, the odds are on he's staying. And then we get into the subheading, if he leaves, you know, there's a lingering question around there. Left out of the game yesterday. Lennon was interviewed after the game, asked if it was down to the fact that he could be leaving Celtic. But the story goes as follows. Neil Lennon left out tired Celtic striker Odsonne Edouard against Livingston, but is adamant the hoop striker is going nowhere. The French frontman was an unused sub in the 3-2 victory that put Lennon's men back to the top of the Premiership table. With McGregor, Christie and Ayeti providing the goals, Edouard told his manager on Friday he didn't feel fit enough to start against the Lions, but Lennon expects his star man to be back for Thursday night's Europa League qualifier against Riga FC and insists there's no doubt over Edouard's future at the club. Look, a lot of people going over their heads yesterday and saying, that's it, Edouard's gone. You know, he's no point in the day, no chance he's going to be staying at the club. You've got to remember, this is a guy who before the internet, and I said this on stream yesterday, and I think I said it in my Free Things We Learn video as well, you're looking at a player who was injured before the international break, wasn't fit to play, he missed the last couple of games. We had Christie playing up front, of course. It was disastrous, but we couldn't play him. He then goes into an international break and plays 2 games. He then comes back out of an international break and plays 2 games with a short period of days between. It is understandable that he is out, and I know a lot of people will be saying, "Oh, he's a professional footballer. He's fine. He's just lazy." Blah blah blah. No, look, you've got to be realistic with this. You know, it's a very intense league we're playing in just now with our congestion in the fixtures. It's going to be difficult for Edouard until he's back to full fitness to play 90 minutes week in, week out, or 3 days in, 3 days out. It's understandable that he was out yesterday. Of course, it's not desirable by any means. It was just a nuisance, to be honest. But we got through. And hopefully he is staying at the club. I don't think he'll be leaving. I've not heard much. Maybe it's just been quiet. Apparently Arsenal are keeping tabs on him, a couple of teams over in France too. But look, at the end of the day, he made himself clear that he was happy to stay at Celtic. And I think that we'll see him stay. I genuinely do think it was just down to fitness yesterday when you put things into wider context, when you look at how much football the guy has been playing off the back of an injury. So understandable that Edouard didn't play, and hopefully Lennon is right when he says he's adamant that he'll stay at the club. The other story on the back page of the Express is about Alfredo Morelos, another story on a potential departing striker in the Scottish game, and Jermaine Defoe urging Morelos to say, stay and be a Gers hero. Jermaine Defoe has urged Alfredo Morelos to stay at Rangers and become a 10 in a row busting hero. The question mark hangs over whether the Colombian striker will still be at Ibrox when the transfer window shuts in 15 days' time. Leo failed with a bid for the 24-year-old last month, and Ibrox gaffer Steven Gerrard then dropped the front man who said had his head turned. So, you know, we're talking about potentially Edouard leaving the game. There's an even bigger question mark over Morelos potentially leaving the game. Starting today against Hibs, scoring today against Hibs, looked happy to be playing. He's looking very hungry. I've seen the first half, and he's once again the same position as Edouard. I just don't see any sort of sign as to why he would leave. It all comes down to bids, it all comes down to money, and we'll see over the coming days, I suppose. That does it for the Express. All English football. After that, we just get one solemn back page. Very nice, but there you go. Odds on he's staying. That is exactly what you want to hear. Edouard hopefully remaining at Celtic come at the end of the transfer window. Sunday Mail, hey, which has a lovely big photo of Albion Ayeti on the back page after his fantastic goal against Livingston yesterday in the 3-2 win. Lenny, the back page headline, once again, Eddie, willing and able. Neil Lennon left out tired Celtic striker Odsonne Edouard against Livingston, but is adamant the hoop striker's going nowhere. So You know what? I'm going to hopefully buy into what Lennon's saying just now. Of course, our season we have been doubting a lot of what Lennon has been doing and saying. A lot of question marks surrounding his decisions at the top of the team just now. But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like he wouldn't come out and say these things in the press conferences just to leave Celtic fans feeling disappointed by the end of the window. Look, Lennon already knows the pressure and the criticism he's coming under from the Celtic support at the start of this season. Unless he has just took a mutual obligation not to look at any form of media, whether it be social media or the journalists, whatever. I think Lennon will know fine well the pressure he's under. And for Neil Lennon to come out and say he's adamant that Eddie will stay, for then him to leave the club, it would make him look rather foolish and it would leave a lot of fans very unhappy. So I think he'll be speaking with confidence in everything he does at the minute. But only time will tell. We need to wait and see. But Albion Ayeti, back page. We've got him now, he's scoring goals, and that's a good sign, you know, even if Edouard was to go, you know, at least we've got a Yeti in there who can bag a few, but we certainly would have to strengthen if Edouard did leave. An interesting story on the back of the Mail. The other one that's just surrounding it, which I'm not really going to touch on, is the Defoe and Morelos situation, what we spoke about in the Express. But Steven Gerrard is saying we can pay up to help out after, you know, there's a lot of talk on the COVID testing in the League Cup, the lower league teams who cannot afford to pay for these COVID tests, fears of games perhaps being forfeited. You know, you look at Brora Rangers, Celtic Hearts, how are they expected to step up and pay the fees for COVID testing when the League Cup does start in a couple of weeks' time? It's just it's an impossible situation. They cannot afford to pay that money. So Gerrard talking about how we can help out. It's actually going over the 2 pages, but I'll read off the start of it for you. So Steven Gerrard has called on Scotland's top clubs to follow Liverpool's lead and bail out lower league sides to avert a League Cup disaster this season. Teams at the bottom end of the SPFL, as well as Celtic Hearts and Brora Rangers, will have to pay 4-figure sums for COVID-19 tests ahead of games against top flight opposition in the competition. That has led to fears some clubs will forfeit games rather than shell out money they don't have, with some facing something, here we go, 2 normally money spinning ties against Premiership sides in the group stage. The SPFL revealed the latest guidance on Friday night, but down south Liverpool and West Ham are among several Premier League sides willing to pay for Football League sides to undergo the procedures in the Carabao Cup. Gerrard said, there will be a lot of concerns around the testing. I'm trying to think of the best way to move things forward and try and help the teams lower down who aren't in a position to pay for it. I don't think the club will thank me for this, but the big clubs might need to show some support to the part-time teams or other teams lower down. He makes a valid point. You know, not normally I would sit here and agree with Steven Gerrard or back up much of what he's saying, but you know, you're looking at clubs like Celtic and Rangers to lead the way in helping the competitions go forward this season. It would be good to see us helping out in these situations. Good stuff down south from Liverpool and West Ham to do that. Up here, we'll only see over the next couple of weeks what will happen. Hopefully teams don't need to forfeit the competition. It would just be a disaster. You know, it really takes away the feel of an authentic season. If we go forward in all the leagues and in the cup competitions up here in Scotland, and things are having to be forfeited and called off, it would just take away the authenticity. I don't like it. So I hope we go forward. I hope there is some form of, whether it's the clubs or not, whether it's an outside source, whether it's the SPFL, whoever it may be, hopefully there is financial aid for all these teams to make sure that we can put these events forward as smoothly as possible, because ultimately we want to keep progressing towards, you know, football being back to normal. We want to get as close to it as possible, and that's one thing we're going to have to do. And I know there will be a lot of people out there who will think to themselves, no, I don't want our club to have to pay for other clubs to do stuff and all the rest of it, and people may selfishly think like that, and I can understand that if you're looking for your club and your club only. But if you want football back and you want your own team's season back to perfectly normal situations, then we need to expect stuff like this to happen. So hopefully there is some form of aid, and we'll see how it goes. But that's the Mail's back pages today. A lot more in the paper. The Mail's looking quite chunky, quite decent today. A big report obviously on the Livingston Celtic game. If you've not heard my reaction, my response, my opinions on the game yesterday, then make sure to check out the 3 Things We've Learned video. And then talking about the preview for Hibs and Rangers, which is getting played right now. Few other stories. Nisbet, a big page on him. Big Dave will love that. And then match reviews of all the other games in Scotland, with wee stories here and there to kind of brighten up your Sunday morning. And finally, the big one, the chunky one, the Scottish Mail, whose back page once again has a lovely photo of Albion Ayeti. But the same headline to do with Ayeti. You know, they've got a nice photo of Ayeti for these 2 papers, but the headline, fatigued Edouard will be back. Fatigued, put in the quotation marks. But the main headline, COVID catch 22, lower leagues in peril due to testing inconsistencies, claims John Robertson. And it's just basically what we touched on there, so there's not too much need for me to go over that again. You know my opinions, I've gave my opinions, but Edouard will be back. It's what you want to see. Odds on, he will be staying here. And I'm confident he will stay here. Celtic stumble back to the top, and you could say stumble is the word. That's a very choice word from the mail, but they're probably spot on. You know, very nervy towards the end of the game. Livingston have a big chance in the 94th minute of the game as well, which could have really changed things. But we need to cut out these errors. We need to get better. We need to stop stumbling over the line. And apart from that, match reviews very quickly. I mean, I'll go over the results yesterday because I know there's people that tune into this series who aren't just Celtic fans. People tune in to see what I'm saying about the news in Scottish football. Big results for Ross County yesterday. They're back in winning ways after a little slump in form. I'm sure Kettlewell will be very happy with that. Dundee United picking up a big win against St Mirren. Another team who were a team who started well and went into a bit of a slump, and now a big win against St Mirren for them yesterday. St Mirren will be gutted. And finally, Kilmarnock, after going down to 10 men, taking a big 3 points as well against Hamilton, which gets big chipper Brian Rice thinking to himself, what is next? You know, Hamilton need to, you know, if you're looking at Hamilton needing to win games and important games, when someone goes down to 10 men and you're in a position where it's 1-1, you should be going forward and winning that game, not losing it. So very interesting weekend in Scottish football, but that is it for the back pages. I have spoke long enough. If you do want to check things out, make sure and go and grab yourselves a newspapers this Sunday morning. And if you've enjoyed the video, you know what to do, like and subscribe. It is all much appreciated. I'll see you all next time.